Hey, it's so good to see you here, honestly. The fact that you clicked on this video already tells me something amazing about you. You're not just looking for the surface level stuff. You're here because you want to understand connection on a deeper level. You're curious, bold, and you're not afraid to explore that beautiful space where playfulness meets emotional intimacy. So, first of all, welcome. Whether you're watching this from your couch with a glass of wine, in your car between errands, or during a little self-care break, I'm genuinely glad you showed up for you today, because this conversation is going to change the way you see attraction. It's going to give you real power, not through manipulation, not through rules, but through confidence and connection. Let's be real for a second. How often do we get told what not to do in dating? Don't text him first. Don't say too much. Don't seem too interested. It's exhausting, but no one talks about how to be bold in a way that's magnetic, how to create spark, not by pretending to be someone else, but by leaning into who you already are. That's where today's topic comes in. We're diving into 5 sexy questions, simple, powerful phrases you can ask a man that will immediately shift the energy, spark attraction, and tap into his imagination in a way that turns him on, mentally and emotionally. Because guess what? That's the real turn on. It's not about being overly provocative or saying something risque. It's about curiosity, confidence, and chemistry. These questions are classy, cheeky, and deeply connected. They work because they show a man that you're not just another person making small talk. You're a woman who knows how to lead a conversation that gets his heart racing and his mind spinning in all the right ways. So if you're ready to own your power, create sexual tension without even touching him, and become the woman who leaves a lasting impression with just one question, let's get into it. What's something you've always wanted to try but haven't yet? Now, at first glance, this question might seem innocent, playful, like a cheeky little icebreaker you'd throw out on a date or during a flirtatious text exchange. But don't underestimate the power of this one line, because it does something incredibly important. It opens a window into his private world. It pulls him out of surface level autopilot and invites him to be bold, creative, and just a little bit vulnerable. And in doing so, it immediately creates connection, but not just any connection. Charged, exciting, magnetic connection. You see, most people live in a world where their desires are either buried under shoulds and responsibilities, or they're afraid of sharing them because they don't want to be judged. This question says, it's safe here. I'm not just interested in who you are right now. I'm interested in the part of you that's still dreaming, still wanting, still reaching. That's intoxicating. And the beauty of this question is that it doesn't have to be sexual. It can be absolutely, might get an answer that flirts with fantasy. But you might also hear something that reveals his adventurous spirit. Maybe he says he's always wanted to go skydiving or start a band, or travel alone to South America. Suddenly, you're not just having small talk. You're unlocking a part of him that most people never bother to access. And when he connects that part of himself to you, game over. You become exciting. You become memorable. You become the woman who makes him feel more alive. Now, let's talk tone for a moment, because how you ask this matters. Ask it with warmth, with curiosity, maybe even a little smirk. Let your eyes hold the question for a second longer than usual. That's where the spark lives, not in the words, but in the energy behind them. And don't rush the silence after you ask. Let him sit with it, let him process. Because while he's thinking of his answer, he's not just accessing a desire, he's feeling it. And you're the one who triggered that feeling. That's what makes this moment so powerful. It's also worth noting that this question subtly says something about you too. It tells him that you're open, adventurous, curious, and probably not someone who lives life on the sidelines. You're someone who asks deeper questions because you care about depth. That's sexy, not just because it creates intrigue, but because it breaks the script. You're not like the others. You're not waiting for him to entertain you. You're leading a dance. It's both emotionally rich and flirtatiously unpredictable. And that's the kind of woman men remember. That's the kind of energy that lingers. Because desire isn't just built on looks. It's built on moments that make someone feel fully seen, fully alive, and fully themselves. This question, it's your invitation to create that moment. There's something incredibly powerful about this question. On the surface, it might sound like harmless curiosity, but in reality, it's a bold, seductive invitation for him to step into a more emotionally and sensually charged space with you. Because what you're really asking isn't just about past compliments. You're asking him to reveal what lights him up, what gets to him, what words have touched him in a way that he... And let me tell you, when you ask this in the right moment with the right energy, you're not just flirting, you're making him feel something. Men, just like women, crave to feel desired. They want to feel seen. They want to feel wanted. Not just for how they look, but for the way they move, the energy they bring, the way they make someone feel. When you ask this question, you tap directly into that desire. You're not asking what a woman wore or how she looked. You're going beyond the physical. You're asking, what did she say that made you feel desired? What words stayed with you? And that opens a loop in his brain that starts firing up memories and emotions. Now here's the magic. Once he starts recalling something a woman said that turned him on, whether it was whispered in his ear or casually said across a table with a grin, he's no longer in that past moment. He's reliving the feeling of it now with you. And neurologically, we associate feelings with people. That means he'll start associating that feeling of being turned on, admired, seen with you, the woman asking the question. Yeah, and let's not ignore the subtext here. When you ask this question, you're also saying, I'm the kind of woman who wants to know what makes you tick, what words seduce you, what language drives you wild. That's thrilling. Because suddenly you're not just part of a casual conversation, you're the one who's showing up with intrigue, confidence, and bold femininity. You're playing the game of attraction on a whole different level, one where you're emotionally intelligent and deeply aware of how men experience desire. What makes this even better is how effortlessly this question can shift the energy in a moment. Say you're sitting across from him and things are light, casual, and then you drop this question with a smirk. You just turn the temperature up. You've gone from small talk to spark, and not in an over-the-top, heavy-handed way, just smooth, effortless, irresistible. Remember, the goal isn't to interrogate him. It's to tease out an emotion, to create a moment of connection, to say without saying, I want to know what touches your soul and turns you on. And if you think for a second that men don't find that unforgettable, think again. Because this question, it doesn't just start a conversation. It starts a fire. This question is pure gold, not just because of what it asks, but because of what it unlocks. When you ask a man what's something that always drives you wild, but most people wouldn't expect it, you're not just flirting, you're going deeper into the part of him that rarely gets explored. You're asking for that hidden layer, the secret turn on, the subtle craving, the quiet desire that lives under the surface. And trust me, that's where the real chemistry lives. Think about it. Most people are so used to performing in relationships. They talk about what they think the other person wants to hear. They stay in the safe zone. But when you ask this question, you gently push him out of that space. You're saying, I want to know the real you, not the curated version, the one with quirks and surprises, the one that doesn't always fit the script. What makes this so sexy is that you're essentially giving him permission to reveal something unconventional, and that's liberating. Maybe it's a certain type of eye contact that drives him wild. Maybe it's the way someone whispers his name or touches the back of his neck when no one's watching. Maybe it's something innocent, like the way a woman laughs at his jokes or bites her lip when she's thinking. Whatever it is, it's something that most people don't see, but you do. You're asking to see him in a way no one else bothers to. And that makes you unforgettable. Now, here's what really makes this work. It's playful but intimate. It doesn't feel invasive. You're not asking him to reveal some huge secret, just a tiny detail, a flicker of truth. But in that detail, something powerful happens. He starts to feel seen, understood, safe to open up. And in doing so, you immediately create trust and spark. But this question also says something about you. It tells him that you're the kind of woman who's not interested in surface level attraction. You're not just going for what's obvious. You want to know what's real. You want to understand what makes him tick. You're showing a deep emotional confidence because you're not afraid of what he might say. In fact, you're inviting it. And if you ask it with just the right tone, curious, light, a little playful, then the energy in the room changes. It becomes charged, electric. Because now he's wondering what your unexpected turn-ons are. He's thinking about the hidden parts of you. And that tension, that curiosity, that's where desire built. Attraction doesn't happen when two people follow a script. It happens when one person is bold enough to go off script and invite something real. That's what this question does. It's not just sexy, it's disarming. It makes him drop his guard and connect in a way he didn't see coming. That right there is what drives him wild. There's a quiet genius behind this question. On the surface, it sounds casual, reflective, like something you might ask during a late night conversation or while sipping drinks at a bar. But underneath, it's one of the most disarming, magnetic ways to explore attraction without ever being overt. When you ask a man, do you think sexual chemistry is instant or something that builds? You're not just asking for his opinion. You're pulling him into a moment of self-awareness. And even more than that, you're gently drawing the focus toward you. Why? Because suddenly he has to think about the concept of chemistry. He has to become aware of it, question it, and examine how it shows up in his body and mind. And while he's reflecting on that, guess what he's feeling it? The very act of asking him this question plants the idea of attraction in the air. It creates an unspoken tension because now he's subconsciously asking himself, wait, do I feel that with her right now? That's powerful. You didn't have to dress it up, didn't have to come on strong. You just opened a door to a conversation where the subject is sexual energy, desire, and connection. And you did it in a way that's smart, safe, and seductive. Now let's talk about the brilliance of the framing. You're not asking, do you feel chemistry with me, which can be too direct or put him on the spot. Instead, you're asking about the nature of chemistry itself. This allows him to explore his answer without pressure. And as he speaks, you get a window into how he experiences desire. Is he someone who needs time to build trust and comfort before the sparks fly? Or does he thrive on that instant magnetism and physical pull? Either way, you learn something valuable about how he connects. And you invite him to see you as someone who gets the nuance of attraction. Here's where it gets even sexier. No matter how he answers, the conversation becomes about chemistry. You're now swimming in a more intimate emotional pool. You've changed the emotional state of the interaction. You're no longer in the realm of casual banter. You're now speaking the language of seduction and doing it with total class. And let's be honest, what man isn't going to be intrigued by a woman who knows how to flirt with ideas, not just with her body? When you can stir a man's imagination, when you make him feel like there's depth behind your questions, you instantly set yourself apart. You're not just sexy, you're fascinating. You become the kind of woman he wants to keep talking to because every layer you reveal leads to something more. That's what makes this question so powerful. It doesn't just ask about chemistry, it creates it. It transforms a simple moment into something that simmers. And you become the spark that makes it all happen. When you ask a man, what do you find sexiest in a woman? Besides the physical, you're doing something most people never dare to do. You're inviting him out of the surface level world that we so often get stuck in. You're creating a space where emotional and intellectual attraction can take center stage. And the moment you do that, this question is pure seduction. Not because it's provocative, but because it's revealing. You're not just fishing for a compliment or trying to get him to say something sweet. You're genuinely curious about what captivates him on a deeper level. You're asking, what stirs your soul? What makes a woman unforgettable to you, even when she's not in the room? And that's powerful, because every man, every person really wants to feel like their desires go beyond the obvious. Sure, physical attraction is real, but when you ask him to look past that, you're showing him that you're different. You're not trying to win the game of attraction with just looks. You're playing on a deeper, more meaningful field. You're someone who wants connection that's rich, textured, and lasting. The best part? This question is a mirror. When you ask it, you give him permission to see you in that light as someone whose power isn't just in how she looks, but in how she carries herself, how she listens, how she creates space for real, honest conversation. You're not saying, tell me I'm sexy. You're saying, tell me what seduces your mind, what keeps you coming back. And that subtle shift in focus changes everything. And let's be real, this question will catch him off guard in the best way, because he's probably not used to being asked things like this. He's used to women trying to be sexy, not asking what he actually finds sexy beyond the surface. And as soon as he realizes you care about that, he starts thinking of you as someone with emotional depth, confidence, and insight, someone who wants more and knows how to draw it out of him. Now here's the magic sauce. However he answers, you get a crystal clear glimpse into what moves him. Maybe it's confidence, maybe it's emotional intelligence, maybe it's ambition, kindness, playfulness, or the way a woman holds eye contact and challenges him. Whatever it is, his answer tells you what resonates. And now you're not just another person he's talking to. You're the woman who sees him, who wants to know what makes his heart race when no one's watching. This isn't just a sexy question. It's a defining one. It creates emotional intimacy without pressure. It leads the conversation into deeper waters. And in doing so, it makes you unforgettable. Not for how you look, but for how you made him feel. That's where real attraction lives. And this question, it's your key to unlocking it. So let's bring it home. You now have 5 questions that aren't just sexy. They're soulful, bold, and emotionally intelligent. These aren't pickup lines. They're not cheap tricks. They're powerful invitations to deeper connection, genuine chemistry, and unforgettable moments of intimacy. When you ask a man something that touches the part of him most people overlook, his mind, his heart, his hidden desires, you stand out. You instantly become the woman who makes him feel seen, understood, and excited in a way that no surface level conversation ever could. But remember, it's not just about the words. It's about the energy behind them. Ask with curiosity, with confidence, with a little playful edge, and watch how he leans in. Watch how his guard drops. Watch how the room shifts. Because suddenly, you're not just flirting, you're connecting. And that's what true attraction is built on. Not just lust, but a moment of realness between two people. That's where desire grows. That's what makes you unforgettable. Now, here's your call to action. Don't just watch this video and think, that was interesting. Pick one of these questions and use it this week. Not with pressure, not to impress, but to connect. Use it to spark a new level of attraction with someone you're dating, someone you're curious about, or someone who already lights a fire in you. Be bold, be playful, be you, with just a little more courage. Because when you learn how to speak to a man's deeper nature, when you know how to tease out both his desire and his emotion, you don't just turn him on, you turn on the part of him that wants to love you chase you and never let you go. If you found this valuable, share it with someone who needs a little spark in their love life. And if you want more real, honest, and sexy relationship advice, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear your favor of the 5 questions and how it worked for you. You've got the tools. Now go create the magic. You deserve connection that's thrilling, meaningful, and 100% you.